payouts. There we go. Brandon Schambach's name is too long. So, let's go. Another thing we're learning in the broadcast, how to space all these things out and make them look right. We're going to go with B. Schambach. Here we go. Another thing on the list to fix for the next broadcast. Figure out how to fit those names in there, how to display those payouts. And how to keep my mouse off of the display area. There we go. And then there were 5. And the next person out, it's 30,000. So these people have all made money that will significantly change their month or their year. 30,000 is a lot of money. Might not change your life, but it will certainly make for a darn good month. But the jumps just get bigger now. It's 30,000 to 40,000. So the next jump is 10,300. All you have to do is outlast one more person to make another $10,000. And I'm going to guess that Roberto is around 1.2 million now. He's really chipping up nicely. He is not afraid to play hands, and it's working out for him. And I think the 10-jack would have been a really hard fold there. Schambach just didn't have a lot of chips. Especially after he said he didn't have aces. Kaplan, it appears, raised his what was it? Was it Stefanski? It was Stefanski who raised in the cutoff. Then they check the turn, or check the flop, as they do at this table. And there was a lead on the turn from Roberto. And the 6 of clubs falling on the river probably doesn't change anything for anyone. If it does, it's more likely to have changed it from Roberto than for Stefanski. I have some thinking to do about what to do with this river. I was wrong. It's not Roberto that's playing this pot. It's Andrew Dean. And Dean's going to bet the river. Stefanski been very careful with his chips all day. Not putting in chips when he doesn't have a hand. If he calls here, it'll be because he's got a real hand. And if he raises, that's interesting. He does raise. Or was that a call? That was a call with a different value chip, I imagine. Because he did show down his hand and he had the queen. It must have been a call. I can't imagine he would raise with that hand. Well, Stefanski chipping up a little bit. Kaplan now the short stack, I'm pretty sure. Yaziki not with a big stack either. One of those two is the short stack, and those two are well behind the rest. Looks like Roberto has the most people who follow Twitch anyway. He's been the most discussed player. Looks like lots of friends. Giving him a little bit of trouble. You got 5 players left, and the majority of the prize pool to be still awarded. 30,000 for 5th, all the way up to 122,000 for first place, and that beautiful trophy that Molly showed us. Only halfway through the level. But as these levels climb, we will start to lose players again. When we were at 5,000, 10,000 with 6 players, I knew it was going to be a while. It might have been 612 or 816 when we were down to 6, but there was a while where the stacks were awfully deep compared to the blinds there. Now they've kind of caught up. Blinds have caught up a little bit. Back to a little more like what you expect from a normal final table. But we've got a long way to go before this thing is over. Roberto raising Stefanski's big blind. Roberto hasn't folded a lot of buttons today. Stefanski calls and immediately checks the turn. Roberto betting again. And Stefanski calling again. So is Stefanski continuing to induce with a king here or a pair? Or is Stefanski on a diamond draw? He checks. Stefanski shows something that appears to be the winner because Roberto mucks his hand. I'm sure we'll hear what Roberto had there at some point. And we have an all-in from Andy Kaplan. It's fairly short. All-in might be the move he's got. And the only move he's got. That's all-in over a raise from Roberto in the cutoff. And Tony Roberto's been pretty loose. He would be the player to go all-in over the top of while you still have enough chips to try and make it fold. And it works. And Tony Roberto has 1.8 million in live earnings. He's been in this position a lot. This will not be his biggest score, even if he wins it. He's had some big ones. His deepest run in the main event was 68th in 2014 for 103,000. He also had a third place in the 6 max no limit, the 3K 6 max no limit in June of 2014 at the World Series, the 2014 World Series. Third place for 200,000. So he's very comfortable playing shorthanded. That kind of deep run, and even the fact that he's playing a 3K 6 max really tells you he's comfortable playing shorthanded. And Mike T1122 is asking about his name. His name is Tony Ruberto, Ruberto, Anthony Roberto.
tonight is approximately 6:25. I need to make reservations.
And he did win in WPT in Jacksonville in 2011. He won a $3,500 no-limit hold'em main event WPT Jacksonville in Orange Park for $326,000.
Take a 15-minute break. We're going to color up the $100 chips. Our dealers coloring up the 100 chips, please.
So Roberto's been at this a while. His first score was in 2006 at Foxwoods, actually. His first tracked live tournament score on Hendon Mob was an $1,100 no limit hold'em at Foxwoods in 2006. Took 11th place for $10,000. Kaplan continuing to play tight, folding his button there. I think he probably has around 18 big blinds. So you have to be careful with the big stacks when you have a stack that's very profitable for them to re-steal against. That might be the smart thing for him to do, to fold his button, though he hasn't been using that re-steal stack to re-steal either. Might not have gotten any hands for a while, because he was playing some hands at the beginning of this final table and has really not had anything to play here for a while.
Yeah, 1:11 p.m. I'll reset it.
Thanks to everybody who's in the chat. Some of you guys have helped me correct things that are going on the screen, sent me suggestions, ways we could improve this broadcast next time. I appreciate it. We're definitely trying to make Blind Straddle into a broadcasting company that will put out broadcasts like this on a regular basis. We'd like to be doing multiple broadcasts like this per week, doing the best production values we can do. We think that technology has changed so much over the past 5 or 10 years that we should be able to do a high quality broadcast either remotely or from the venue with a lot less expense. It used to cost $100,000 to get a final table broadcast done, and we think we can do it for a tiny fraction of that number. Kaplan all in again. He hasn't been all in very often today. He's all in and he gets called by Roberto. See what these hands are, but I think Roberto's got a big one. Those cards look like they might be the same. We'll see here in just a second. Oh, they're not. Okay. Roberto is well behind. So Kaplan just has to dodge an ace here to double up with his kings. Oh, he's got to dodge an ace or an 8. And he does so. Kaplan gets the double up through Roberto. And that'll take at least a third of Roberto's stack away and put Kaplan back in this thing. So we won't be adding anybody to the 5th place spot quite yet. Kaplan now in either 2nd or 3rd place. Probably in 3rd place behind Roberto, but not much behind Roberto. Might even have edged into 2nd place there. Dean's still with a commanding lead over 2 million, though he hasn't played a lot of hands lately. He has just blinded down a little bit. But still well over 2 million and comfortable. Kaplan getting up to walk that off a little bit. Got it all in, doubled up, shake it off, get back to playing poker. If you want to see more broadcasts from us, make sure to follow our channel on Twitch and follow us at Blind Straddle on Twitter. We'll let you know when more broadcasts are coming.
I don't want to, but I have to.
You can also see updates on all these series at foxwoodspoker.com, and throughout this whole series and throughout the last Mega Stacks challenge and through many series lately, Molly has been doing the updates. That's at Molly, and that's at Molly Mossy on Twitter, and we just call her Minnesota Molly in the poker world. She has regular updates about all these events on the Foxwoods Poker page. We have a raise pre-flop and a call. See if all spades flop, queen high. And a bet from Dean. Kaplan in the big blind. Thinking about it. He knows he's going to be out of position for the rest of the hand, and unless he's really got something there, he's got to let it go. Dean chips up a little bit.
You better not talk to me like that. We don't swear in Minnesota.
Still at 12:24 for another 14 minutes. And an all-in raise from Yaziki. He must be below 15 big blinds at this point. He was at 475 when Molly gave us the update, and he hasn't really won a pot since. So he was in the push-fold range and took down the blinds there. Sometimes it feels good just to win a pot. Get you back in the swing of things, even if it's just taking down the blinds with an all-in.
No, okay, sounds good. I'll see you in a bit.
Stefanski's play tonight has been a good example how to play a final table. He has been aggressive when he's played. He's known as one of the best players in the room, but he hasn't been super loose. He hasn't taken a lot of crazy risks. He's been tight, solid, smart, and aggressive. He hasn't been overly tight like some would say Schambach was, but he hasn't been too loose. We get a raise from the button from Kaplan and an all-in from Dean, and that's the risk Kaplan's got to take when he's raising into those big stacks, and he has to let it go. Dean using that big stack. He knows when he goes all in that Roberto can't call unless he's got a monster. So Dean can shove over that button raise pretty wide. And that has really kept Kaplan playing tight all day. Kaplan has not had a lot of choice, and part of the reason that Schambach probably was as tight as he was too, he didn't have a lot of choice either. Looks like a little bit of stuttering from bandwidth there, but that's another problem we hope to get fixed. We have an all-in from Roberto, who is facing shorter stacks than himself, so he can do that. It's been really helpful for Roberto today to have Dean on his right. Very frustrating, I'm sure, for Kaplan to have Dean on his left with that giant stack. I know they pick they pick solid dealers for the final tables, but I've been impressed at how quick the dealers are here. I know these are all pros that work the Foxwoods room all the time, but that's helped a lot, getting a lot of hands keeping the action moving and giving me something to talk about as a fast dealer. And I appreciate it when I'm playing as well. A fast and efficient dealer, I haven't seen a single dealer mistake today. Fast and efficient dealers, really helpful at a final table. And all the dealers appreciate when the best dealers end up at the final table, because that's when the tips are earned. If one of these players is going to tip big on one of these big payouts, it's going to be because they got good dealers at the final table, and that makes all the dealers more money.
Big step. Got about a minute left to your break. Please return.
We're going to hear, probably at some point soon, from Molly, or I will look it up, what the upcoming events are at Foxwoods. I know there's a Mega Stacks Challenge coming up again, which is what I was there for a few months ago. They have, I think, 4 Mega Stacks Challenges per year, in addition to this Classic and a number of other scheduled events. It's a great room for tournaments. we've got a flop here. Looks like it's just the blinds. And we can just assume that they check the flop. About 70% of the hands so far today have been check flops.
Blinds are 15 and 3,000.
And a bet from Roberto in the small blind takes it down. Go back and look at the chip counts from the start of the day. Andy Kaplan had a few less chips than he has now at 416,000. Tony Roberto came in at 433,000. He's certainly got more than that now. I don't know where he is after that double up that he gave Kaplan, but he's certainly got more than the 430,000 that he started the day with. Stefanski only started the day with 293, and I think he's up around 550 now. And Dean started the day with 1.17 million, but by the time the final table started, he had well more chips than that. And Yaziki had 600,000 at the start of the day. I think he's got about that number now, or maybe a few less than that now. So the big mover was, of course, the guy who's got all the chips, Andrew Dean. It was more than doubled the significant chip lead he had at the start of the day. And Tom Dobrilovic, who started in 8th place, or who finished in 8th place, started the day with only 140,000. He really moved up a lot, given how short his stack was. And Mike Nye only started with 213,000. Well, those two players moved up a number of payout spots with their short stacks. I would imagine we'll be going up to 15,000, 30,000 here in about 5 minutes when this level is done. That would be 15, 30, and 5, and we'll probably get rid of the 1,000 chips. Because you never stay at that 4,000 ante level for long. Some places even skip the 4,000 level. Get an all-in from Roberto. Kaplan thinking. I think he's going to fold, but he's thinking hard about it. Maybe he won't. Nope, he makes the call. And we got King 9 against Ace Queen. So Kaplan the favorite here, though it's not nearly as big a favorite as people think. And now it's real close, and it's a significant lead. And the hearts come in, though he didn't need them for Kaplan. I think the dealer mistakenly mucked that hand because Kaplan won the pot. And that is the end for Roberto, huh? He was covered. So doubled up the guy and gave him enough chips to bust him, and Roberto is out just like that. Couple of bad spots and he is done. He was aggressive all day, and you live by the sword and die by the sword. I thought he played quite well, but he did take a lot of risks, and this risk didn't pay off, and Kaplan got him. That patience for Kaplan really paid off. So we will put Berno into our payouts here.